Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. I'm your host, Matt Tardio. The black community has disowned Don Lemon. It's not white supremacists that are speaking out against a gay black man who identifies as Christian, which we all know you can't be gay and be a Christian. It doesn't work that way. They've came out and they've lost it on him. Federal prosecutors have touched ground over inside of Minneapolis. AG Dillon is saying that she is going to be making sure that charges are going to be filed and pressed against this. She is pushing very, very hard to make sure that that happens. This is a top priority for the Trump administration to make sure the people that busted into the church and disrupted service, broke federal law, are going to get prosecuted. They're working very hard to do that. 2 officers over inside Portland were shot overnight. I mean, that's just wild to me. And I'll show you guys the suspect information. Not a whole lot has been able to come in on that. And then looks like New Jersey is being taken over by Islam. And that's not a joke. And I'm going to talk to you guys a lot more about that as well when we get into it. But first, as we're waiting on everybody to roll in here today, I want to show you guys this. This is an interview that Don Lemon tried to get outside of the church as churchgoers were leaving. And I'm going to play this video as people continue to roll in here. And I want you to pay attention and listen to the folks like this man right here. And it's very telling of him just walking out with his hands up in general, of the type of energy and the type of fear that they tried to instill in these people when they started their freaking riot inside the church.
Praise the Lord with my son, and now I gotta go home. I'm sorry that you guys are so angry.
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group.
What do I have to say?
Can you understand why they're angry?
I don't understand any of this because I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man who loves the Lord and is a good father. So this is what we look forward to, is coming, being with our family and praising Jesus, and that's not something that we have to run away from. So this is kind of a bad day for us, but we're going to heaven, so that's the best news we got.
Do you understand that some of these folks feel voiceless?
I don't understand because right now I'm so upset. Right now I don't really have I'm thirsty and I can't think very clearly. So what I want to do is just say we love you. Yeah. My son and I love you guys. Yeah. And
I'm a journalist. They're activists.
The simplest thing we can say is that we love you.
I love how he just restates, I'm a journalist. They're the activists.
You guys.
What do you mean, you guys?
Well, whoever's here in this house.
Okay.
We don't distinguish between Christian and non-Christian. We love everyone, and we want everyone to come to heaven. Yeah. We want people to go to heaven.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. We want folks to go to heaven. And if we need to talk about these things, then, this isn't the time for that, really.
But don't you think until we go to heaven...
The guy literally says, if you want to talk about these things, this isn't the time for that. And then Don Lemon pops with this question. And bless this dude's freaking heart for how he answered.
If you believe in that there should be some sort of peace here on earth and that people should have agency and we shouldn't be...
Don't you think there should be some peace here on earth? Yeah, that's what we were trying to do in church before you showed up, Don.
Beating people up off the street.
And then you're going to throw in beating people up off the street. And you're going to act like you're not with them while proposing that question. Get out of here, dude.
We should be abiding by the Constitution?
I think that's just a little bit...
and that we're not acting by the Constitution. And Lemon's trying to claim that he's not on the side of the protesters when he goes and asks that question. He didn't ask, what do you think about them being upset? Do you even realize what they're upset about? Anything like that. He's not about the protest. Now he wants to throw loaded questions at this guy.
Loaded for me right now? What you're doing?
Why so?
Well, I don't want to interview right now. I don't want to interview. I just want to tell you guys I love you. I don't need to interview right now because I want to be with my son. It's Sunday. It's time for rest and for renewal.
Where are they? In this car, this one's right on the corner.
And he's such a pile of trash, man. He's such a pile of trash. And he'll sit there and he'll pretend like he's not doing anything, like he's not with the frickin' protesters.
Right now.
Thank you.
Follow Don.
Here's Don Lemon handing out coffee and donuts to them before the protest.
A friend of mine.
Independent, yeah. Tell them to come get some coffee.
Hey, Don Lemon got some coffee for y'all.
And donuts.
And donuts. And he ain't talking about police.
You want some coffee?
He wants some coffee. Don Lemon,
Yeah, that's journalism. That's journalism right there at its finest, showing up and supporting one side. That's journalism, according to Don Lemon. And I wonder why people would think that he is with the protesters when he's over there doing that crap. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. Yeah, I would agree with that. And right now we have tyranny over in the state of Minnesota with people just doing whatever the hell they want and imposing, I don't know how you say this, imposing law on a certain class of citizens and then ignoring gross violations of laws such as illegal immigration, such as fraud, such as probably some cooperation there with the government in order to make the fraud happen. So yeah, I'd say that's tyranny, and I'd say it's time for the people to rebel. Now, that's probably not what you thought I was going to say, or I understand that you're trying to claim that what's taking place over there is tyranny. It's not tyranny. It's literally the law. If that was your take with that, what the federal government's doing over in the state of Minnesota is that it's tyranny, you've got a screw loose in your head. They're enforcing federal laws that were signed by legislators, signed into law by the executive branch, and are being enforced by the executive branch. They've been interpreted by the judiciary branch numerous times. You just don't happen to like them. You don't bust into a church when you don't like the law. That's what your legislators are for, who, if you live in Minnesota, are already crooked. So go whine and complain to them and get off my channel. If that's your take, I don't know. It could be. Commander Sergeant, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. Incog Faraday coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's keep going here. Yeah, and hopefully, I don't know, you don't think that this is rebellion, because in my opinion, this is clearly racism. You don't believe me? Right here in this video, Don Lemon claims that the churchgoers are white supremacists.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America. And there's a certain degree of entitlement.
There's a certain degree of entitlement where, Don?
And I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not.
Oh, religious groups like that, like the church that you just raided. Got it. And that's where it's coming from, ladies and gentlemen. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I brought this up yesterday, I wouldn't be surprised if Don actually did get slapped with some sort of like hate crime enhancement on top of this. You know what I mean? Like, you assault somebody because they're a certain race or a certain religious background, based, like, your assault is solely based on that falls under the hate crime statutes, right? Well, it's the same thing when you violate any other law against somebody because of that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Don Lemon gets slapped with a freaking hate crime. Honestly, because of his statements and everything that he's doing. And the lady that organized it, by the way, she got interviewed yesterday, and I brought up her name, and I did a whole freaking walkthrough on you guys on this lady. She's absolutely insane. Nikema Armstrong, right? She's a civil rights attorney, former BLM activist, and she doesn't think she went too far. She thinks that everything they did was justified, despite the entire world yelling at them that this is beyond okay. The idiot that organized it doesn't think she went too far.
Listen. I'm not going to go down this line of questioning with you. This is gaslighting. Who has gone too far is Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, J.D. Vance, and the people who run ICE.
She tells me that they're not worried about the Department of Justice investigating them because they investigate everyone. That's what she said. And she also says that they feel like the media focusing on this is gaslighting the American people about what's happening here. Now, we also do know DHS sources confirming that an ICE supervisor is one of the pastors at this church here, Natasha.
Listen.
She legitimately doesn't think it's gone too far. And last night when I was doing the live stream, one of you guys said that Greg Bovino said that the pastor didn't work for ICE. And as I told you guys, I think he's wrong. If he did in fact make that statement, that he was wrong. There you have the local news source confirming that News Nation confirming that he did end up making that he was an ICE agent over there in town. And this lady's out of her dang mind. She doesn't think it's going too far to cause kids to cry and scream and do everything else. And because of that happening, that is exactly why the black community is speaking out, which we're going to go over. Donald Trump ended up dropping this message a little bit earlier. It says, just watch footage of the church raid in Minnesota by the agitators and insurrectionists. These people are professionals. No person acts the way they act. They are highly trained to scream, rant, and rave like lunatics in a certain manner, just like they are doing. They're troublemakers who should be thrown in jail or thrown out of the country. I would agree with that statement. The first to go should be Walz and fake sleazebag Ilhan Omar, who's supposedly worth over $30 million, even though she never had anything but a government job. Investigate these corrupt politicians and do it now. Trump is wanting people not to so much focus on all of the riots and the protests, but wants everybody to keep their focus on the corrupt politicians, right? Don't focus on the riots, focus on the corrupt politicians. And I do agree. We should be outraged at both. But what he doesn't understand is what's affecting the American people is what we're going to be outraged by the most. People that are showing up to church on Sunday and getting harassed and having their service shut down, and literally nothing was done about it by the local authorities. Yeah, people are going to be pretty pissed off about that. You know, like in the military, you know, we have the 5 principles of patrolling, right? Or planning, reconnaissance, security, control, common sense, things like that, right? But the thing that's always at the forefront of your mind is security. And I think the same thing is true when it goes to people that are just out inside of America. You know, if we have security, we can focus on other things. But right now, over inside of Minneapolis, over inside of Minnesota, there is zero security. There's zero security. There's zero, civil rights even being freaking enforced. Like, people are not protected. You got journalists that are being assaulted in the street. You got freaking, like mobs running around, busting into the back of FBI cars, ripping weapons and stuff like that out of them. Journalists that document and dox all of these stolen documents online, nothing's done to them. You've got freaking idiots that are busting into freaking churches, nothing's done to them. People can't even enjoy Sunday peace. So yeah, people are more concerned about security right now, Donald Trump. So just go ahead and send in the Insurrection Act and those airborne troops from Alaska, because we're waiting. We're absolutely waiting for that to happen. Fox McCloud says, day 5, I've infiltrated and gained the trust of an Antifa commando. I made the rank of private, but in order to climb the ranks, I'll need to get bottom surgery. Wish me luck, boys. Good luck, Fox. Good luck, buddy. Abby, she just used gaslighting as a gaslighting deflection maneuver to avoid responsibility. Incredible. Right. Yeah, well, that's what you get for a freaking radical civil rights attorney that goes out there. But like I said, black community speaking out. And I want to let you guys know that I don't condone the amount of language that's about to be used, or the language at all. It's going to be used in the videos, but I'm showing these videos to you guys to show you how pissed everybody is at Don Lemon. If he wants to sit back and he wants to invoke white people and say that we're all freaking white supremacists and like church-going people are all white supremacists, well, let's take a look at what the black community thinks of Don Lemon, shall we?
You better pray to God that you don't fucking go to jail, because I'm going to make sure you get the fucking real jail experience. I'm putting all the honey buns on top of your head. You like dick anyway, huh, nigga? Puss ass. You go in the church, you fuck up the church, and then you go pretend like you ain't had shit to do with your fucking camera out. I pray to God they charge you with inciting a riot, bitch. With your puss ass. Anytime the motherfucking pastor gotta push you, you doing way too fucking much. Bitch ass nigga. The pastor gotta push you, I'ma slap the fuck out y'all. And if y'all see me on a motherfucking picture like this in jail, on my bond picture, please come bond me out. You heard me? It mean I ran into Don Lemon.
Love it. Honestly. And by the way, these videos are a freaking dime a dozen. This next one's probably my favorite one. When I say people are pissed, they're pissed. And yeah, people are saying he's right. And I'm watching the comment section as you guys like respond to that video. Listen to this one though. I'm not the only one.
The administration and the fake news magas are losing their mind over something that's not even true.
Oh, no, sir. This ain't got nothing to do with MAGA. This got everything to do with you taking your fagger ass up in that church and harassing people like that. Now you want to circle back and act like, oh, well, I am in no affiliation, association. No. You are in 110% corroboration with the Democratic Party that is causing more and more problems. You, by the way, who keep saying that white people are devils, but you married to a white man. So does that make you the devil's broad? I'm trying to understand, what is it exactly that you are doing, and what is it exactly that you want us to think that you're doing? You are opposition to any and everything that is successful in this country. Anything that is trying to get this country together, you are in direct opposition of. But then you want to come back and try to play the victim. No. You're not a victim, Don. You are not a victim. You are 100% guilty of all the shit that you have already done. And then you keep doing it. Then you keep doing it. Then you want us to come in and talk about, oh, well, you know, it's the news. It's the news. You're a damn journalist yourself. Listen, people, I keep trying to tell you, we're doing a complete separation. If you are not a melanated American, if you are not one of our non-melanated cousins, all y'all can get out. Even the people that were born here. If you do not like this country, and Don, you got plenty of money, take your ass somewhere else. You and your husband, why don't you go somewhere? Where is all the rest of these people? Where did what's the name? The white lady that had the TV show. Go with Portia. Go over Ellen DeGeneres. Why don't you go be neighbors with Ellen and them? Just get that fuck out.
That lady says, I think she sums up 99% of America's thoughts. I really do. And I can sit here and I could rage to you guys all day long, and I can tell you how I think and how I feel, but it is totally different when you hear it coming from other people. Don Lemon made not a mistake. He made a calculated move. Him and those protesters made a calculated move to assault, to violate, and to break the dang law. Even on a moral basis, which is why they chose to do that. Even if you have no idea about those federal statutes, none, which, by the way, ignorance of the law is not an excuse to break it. That's another ruling you guys should look into. But they chose something that was so offensive, so freaking offensive, that they knew it would piss people off. And they thought it would work. They thought it was going to be great. They thought people would stand up and be like, you know what? You're right. People's rights are being violated. We should bust into a white church and we should go off on the white man because it's the white man putting everybody down. It's the white man putting everybody down. And you know it's really bad? When the black guy on a panel on CNN shuts down some woke white kid. What CNN did putting this kid on here, and I'll show you who he is here in a second. I was like, who the heck is this dude? Why is he even on national news? He's got no business being on national news. But it's pretty bad when a panel on CNN, the freaking black dude on the panel, has to shut down a woke white kid. Listen to this crap.
I totally disagree. Because of what a pastor does for a living or what they're involved in politically gives no one the right. There was a child in that video who was sitting in their father's arms, shaking, confused, trying to figure out what's going on when these people burst into this church. And Lee, what I would say is people have a First Amendment right and the ability to go and protest against ICE. If they don't like ICE, be my guest, go protest. But those people in that church, I would say and, not but, those people in that church absolutely have a First Amendment right to gather and worship the God of their choosing. And I'll say a point here is it is actually Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the day that we recognize his contribution to the country today. His mother in 1974 was shot and killed in a church because of political violence, because the KKK wanted to insert their political will over a community. This is remarkably similar to that. I remember my great-grandfather telling me stories about church bombings in the South. Remarkably similar to that. Everyone at this table should have
So the protest is similar to the person getting shot.
Let me finish, please. Everyone at this table, please, should have absolutely no issue saying that this was wrong. It was reprehensible behavior, and this is not the appropriate way that we address our grievances in this country.
So which innocent people are and are not allowed to get shot as far as you're concerned?
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. People have a right in this country, regardless of what your political convictions are, to worship freely and safely, and no one should watch a child on camera like what we saw trembling in their father's arms because of your political convictions. ICE does
to children and their families.
Your political convictions do not overstep someone's ability to worship safely and securely.
No, but stop making it about abortion. Did I call that into question?
I'm sorry, guys. I respect you, but there's no but. There's no but here.
It's a little bit of a different issue because...
Like, how stupid is this kid? Who thought it would be a good idea to put this dude on and to platform this retard? 25 years old, I think, is what I ended up discovering. Mary Dean says, Hi, good morning, Matt and Nanner Gang. Appreciate and love everyone so much. God bless all of you in Minnesota. Minnesota here is crazy. I have no words to describe it. And I have no words to describe it either. And Mary Dean, like, you let me know. Tag me in the comment. Like, am I off base here saying that Americans are more worried about their security in the state of Minnesota than they are whether or not the fraud is going to get prosecuted? Fraud is already overdone. We're aware of it, and it needs to happen. It takes time and it takes research. But when you talk about just security on the ground, am I wrong? People inside Minnesota want security from these freaking radicals and to make sure that the law is equally applied, or applied at all for that matter, before they even give two craps about Ilhan Omar getting arrested, because she's been doing it for years. Austin McCullough, sorry, I couldn't read your name. Is there things going on in the background that we don't see because this is taking the front stage? Yeah, there's always things that are going on in the background. There always is. And like I said, I got a feeling that when we bomb Iran is going to be the same exact day when those active duty troops end up touching ground over inside of Minnesota. I don't even think it's a question at this point that the Insurrection Act is about to be invoked and that those troops are going to be on the ground. I don't even think it's a question at this point. I think it's an inevitability. And Trump's just smart enough not to announce it because he's going to cause a huge uproar. That's why. J.R. Huff says, Matt, when you showed up in Portland, Oregon, calling for peace between the sides, I followed your channel. This was a breath of fresh air in the chaos, and it showed your heart for Christ. Thank you for that, brother. No, thank you, J.R. I really appreciate that, man. I really try to do that. And I really try to show common sense things like I'm going to show here in just a minute. Because when I called out Jake Lang the other day, I'm not the only one that's coming out and letting the world know that, listen, Jake Lang is a racist. He's an antagonizer. And I don't support him any more than I support Don Lemon. And I ain't the only one that thinks that. Colby McCurdy says, bring back asylums ASAP. We absolutely should. We absolutely should. X-Viper says, they thought with the media coverage and everyone starting to discuss the ICE operations that they could do this, face zero repercussions and gain support. Big mess up. Absolutely. People think because they see things online and they see that, you know, this particular video of a radical leftist gets 1 million views, that somehow, and I'm going to prove it to you, that somehow they're right or that somehow they have support. And I'm going to prove it to you by going over this kid's X account that they have up over here. And I'm going to show you the reactions on his profile to his interviews over on CNN and what he ended up posting about it. And that's why people are stupid. Abby Asman says, don't forget a nut just active prayer at Annunciation Catholic School in August in Minneapolis. Don't forget a nut just active. Oh, yeah. So the Annunciation shooting was actually instigated by a guy from overseas. And I've talked about that before. And I don't want to go down that path right now, but I do believe that a lot of these antagonists are being promoted by foreign accounts in order to push dissent inside of America. That's what I think. And that Annunciation shooter is a prime example of that. Dustin Jordan says, I went and rewatched it. Bavino just agreed with two people having the same name, but when asked directly, did a agent work at the church, he danced around the question, which I didn't see the first time. So God bless. Well, thank you, sir. GMV Gaming. Hey, Matt, the Asian guy, they walked out in boxers you put yesterday, just came out. He had no criminal record. Tao is his name. You can look it up. No, I'm aware of that. And I even stated that. Go back and listen to the video. They're complaining about that guy. And I said he's harboring fugitives inside of his home. They raided that home looking for those two fugitives. And when you have a warrant for two violent offenders like that, everybody gets in cuffs. Everybody. Everybody. You're affiliated, you're associated with them, it's a high-risk warrant, everybody goes in cuffs. That's standard. And he can come out and he can say that he's got no criminal history, fine. But why is he hanging out with a freaking pedophile and a rape, like two rapists, a child rapist and a regular rapist? Why is he hanging out with them? Want to answer that one? Like the left, do they want to answer that one? I don't think they do. And why is the left out there blowing freaking whistles and causing a freaking stink? You don't think that they'd want to have a rapist off their streets? Two of them, particularly a pedophile? I would think they do. But this is how stupid people are. You know, oh man, I thought I had that kid's, but yeah, here it is. Here, let me show you another L take that this kid ended up having yesterday. because this goes back into why Don Lemon thought he was justified in doing what he was doing. And he didn't just get shut down by the black guy. I mean, this dude got shut down.
Yeah, I've been thinking about a couple of things. One, last summer, if I were sitting in a church right now in Minneapolis and a bunch of people burst in, I'd be on edge, because last summer a shooter showed up at a Catholic church in Minneapolis and shot a bunch of kids. 2 died. I think 30 people were injured, 26 were kids. And so the terror in that church, I think, is probably warranted, if for no other reason than we've seen radical violence at a church in the not too distant past. We've also seen, I think, attempts to create violence and mayhem and fear in churches around the country, synagogues and other places. And so I feel like the radical left is somewhat emboldened right now to go up to and now into places of worship. It sounds like the FACE Act is what they're going to use. I've also heard today from some sources that the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, they may look at that for bringing charges to Don Lemon and these radical leftists that went into this church. I think if they don't do something to these people who did this, you're going to see it proliferate in churches across the country, and that will be very regrettable.
You make a good point about the issue, but it isn't necessary to say the radical left.
No, I'm sorry. That wasn't the one where he shut the kid down. That's the one where like a woke white woman tries to speak up. And again, black guy ends up shutting him down. But hey, regardless, let's go over and check out that kid's profile, because that's what I said. This is that idiot, Cameron Kasky. He's got 45,000 followers. He's got a Palestinian flag and a watermelon in his profile, which tells you pretty much all of his brain power, right? That tells you the mental competency of this person. When you have a Palestinian flag and a watermelon, you're a social media freaking turd, all right? And then let's go down a little bit further. This is him claiming he did such a good job against Scott Jennings. This was the clip I thought I had up. Listen to this.
You know, it sounds like it should be in the top 10 choices is a Palestinian person, which does not appear on this peace board. And that's how we know that Donald Trump's alleged ceasefire, which the state of Israel has violated countless times, by the way, is just a facade. And you're going
to let the aggressors in this war onto the peace board? I don't think so.
Who are the aggressors in this war?
Hamas. The Palestinians, Hamas, that invaded Israel, that raped, murdered, kidnapped, and tortured the Israelis. That
Are you claiming right now that the state of Israel has never committed rape, torture, or murder against innocent Palestinians? Can you make that claim?
The entire reason we had this war is because of October the 7th. So no, I don't think they should be invited to be on the peace board until they, I don't know, demilitarize and do the rest of the things they're supposed to do.
I don't know. You know, it sounds like
Not to mention, he's just gonna sit there and he's gonna claim that he's got all of this freaking crap going on. Scott Jennings is capable of denying the state of Israel's crimes. Dudes posting their own L. You hate to see it. Here you go, Cameron claiming, that he's Scott Jennings is posting an L. And then what's funny is you go to his comment section, and this is why. Piss off, soy boy. They got him dressed up in a Nazi uniform. You got Smoke Kasky, illegal aliens, because they're illegal. And I mean, it just goes on and on. It's quite possible that you are the most obnoxious person to ever go on CNN, and that's really saying something. Delete your account. Sad. Name one citizen they have ever deported. You're definitely retarded. That's for sure. These are all the comments that end up going on this dude's freaking profile. And again, you go back up to the video itself. 66,000 views. He's got a whopping 1.9 thousand likes on it, but all of his freaking messages and stuff are all telling him that he's a freaking turd. Any thoughts about the disaster in Syria? Yeah. U.S. it looks like is actually standing up for the Kurds. And here's my thoughts, Adam. Here's my thoughts. I've been saying for the longest time, Trump's a retard for supporting Jelani. At no point in time was it ever a good idea to support a radical Islamic extremist and make him president of a country. At no point in time. And so it's no surprise to me right now that the Syrian military is attacking the Kurds again, and that the U.S. had to go in, and we just ended up dropping bombs in between them, warning Jelani's men that if they push forward, they're going to die. It is no surprise to me that had to happen. And it's no surprise to me that ISIS terrorists are being let out of jail right now. All of the crap that I told you was going to happen because Turkey's taking over the country, Turkey's siding with Jelani, that Turkey's a big fan of ISIS, even though people don't want to admit it. So you got ISIS terrorists being released. You had Christians being slaughtered earlier this year. You had the Druze being slaughtered. Not earlier this year, last year. You had Druze being slaughtered. And now they're releasing ISIS terrorists onto the street, and they're trying to kill more Kurds. Big surprise. Makes me wonder if there's not something bigger on the world stage that forced Trump to backing that guy, because that man does not like jihadists, and he had to have known. I couldn't picture a single advisor That would have been like, hey, Don, this is a great idea. Let's put Joe Bellani in charge of freaking Syria. Mary Dean says, Matt, your comment to my super chat, and you're right. Well, thank you, Mary Dean. I appreciate that. People want freaking security. CJ Banksful says, Tina Peters has been assaulted in prison and they are charging her. Oh, yeah, no, she's sitting in prison. And there's nothing Trump can do about it. She exposed voter fraud in the state of Colorado. And then they ended up charging her with a crime and throwing her in jail, and nothing's been done about it. And it's freaking appalling. Like, up next on my list of things to do is find those responsible and try to get their answers to that. Because when we have people, and you got to ask this question, when you have people that are blatantly violating freaking state law and federal law, and nothing's done about it, and it takes the assistant attorney general and the president of the United States to go, that's a crime, do something about it, and nothing's being done. Yet Tina Peters is sitting in prison for exposing fraud, which should be protected underneath the whistleblowers. It's a problem. Again, I'm in love with Officer Tatum today in a completely non-homosexual way.
Maybe it's Operation Pullup. Please be Pullup. Roll the clip.
This is Operation Pullup, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now.
Time out. That's a crime. That's a crime. She just admitted, her face is on the camera. I better see her nappy head self in jail. She just admitted to a crime. We pull up and we disrupt. That's called disorderly conduct. That is a crime.
And she stated her intent to do it. Officer Tatum caught some crap that I didn't even catch. Like I said, I'm in love with that guy. I told you that these people were guilty of organizing it, knew exactly what they were going to do, and that we have every right to be demanding that this crap get taken care of. That woman's butt needs to be in jail right alongside everybody else. I told you, I told you, I told you.
Roll it.
Demanding justice for Renee Good and letting them know that this will not stand. They cannot pretend to be a house of God while harboring someone who is directing ICE agents to wreak havoc upon our community and who killed Renee Good, who almost killed a 6-month-old baby. Enough is enough. I am a reverend on top of being...
Yeah, I hadn't heard that part. She's claiming to be a reverend. I ain't heard that part. I just played this video because I heard the first part of it, and I was like, boom, throw it in the stack. Whatever this dude's going to say is going to be right. I can't even wait to hear this, man.
She says she's a reverend.
I was right. Get her.
Like Al Sharpton them, reverend? Because you ain't at nobody church. You dirty behead. This woman said that how you going to call yourself a place of God because an ICE agent allegedly go to church there. He may not even be a member. And then this nappy head broad just said that justice for Renee. Renee's father was on television and said if she was a believer, pretty much, she wouldn't have been in that situation. So you're telling me you're going to shut down a church, a house of God, because a member of ICE goes to the church, but yet you're celebrating a person who didn't even believe in God, who was committing a crime in a lesbian relationship. Somebody, God.
Yep. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. So freaking ridiculous. When I said these people are insane, they're literally insane. And I said the black community is going off on Don Lemon. I mean, like the entire black community is sounding off on Don Lemon. Not a single person thinks that this is a good idea. They are all disowning this dude.
So Don Lemon and his gaslighting ass finally crossed the line. You know, it was irritating enough this smug, obnoxious jerk goes down the street with his little microphone and gaslights people he interviews with disinformation, calling himself an independent journalist. But he crossed the line now. This man and a mob of nuts purposely and willfully walked into a house of worship while people were worshiping, praying to God, listening to a message, engaged in their sacred traditions. A Christian church, mind you, and walked in there and disrupted it. And Don, don't you try to distance yourself from it, because yeah, initially I was like, is he doing journalism? And then I saw the footage before you went in. You supported what was happening. You celebrated what was happening. You kissed that crazed activist professor on the cheek. She's a law professor and she doesn't know about the FACE Act? Who the hell is she professing over? The FACE Act clearly states that you cannot disrupt a religious service because you're violating their rights. Don, you supported it. Don't sit there and act like you were distant from it. You were as much of a part of it as that activist in that group where you were giddy about it. When I saw that part of your that footage of your little cover your ass moment, that's what you were trying to do, cover your ass, right? You still cooked yourself. And then you went in there with that mob and gleefully started taunting people of faith, putting your microphone in the face of pastors, disrupting their service. Don, you can't distance yourself from it. For what?
Don't be in the chat section screaming Jesus did the same thing. Don't even try to equate anything Jesus had done to what they did. You need to go read the Bible. That comment isn't even worth an actual response other than that. Go read. Go read. There's a difference. It wasn't a worship service that was taking place, you nuthead.
What happened to you, man? You used to be one of my favorites, man. I used to watch you back in 2013. I say, hey, this brother has some sense. Yeah, he's left of center, but he has some sense. Something happened to you, man, that turned you into an obnoxious, disgusting, garbage human. A smug, disgusting, garbage human. A jerk. Don, with you and your mob, and you're not the ringleader, I'm an honest man. You were just following the leader, right? Would you and that mob go to a mosque and do that? Would you disrupt a mosque? Would you go do that at a Jewish synagogue? Well, nowadays you might. What the hell is wrong with you people? I don't understand the fervor and hatred that individuals like yourself have for the Christian faith. We're blessed to be in America where they're not killing us yet. Around this world, Christians are facing persecution in Africa and around this world. But the anti-Christian sentiment exists today. The Christian has been made the bad guy for every single thing happening in the world today, which gives you and the band of idiots that walked in there the permission to go in there and disrespect their service the way you did.
Now, obviously, I'm not black. I can claim it, but I'm not. That would be silly. But two things that I know are true. And one is you don't mess with faith. You want to talk about like some very faithful people. Like even when I lived in Dallas, Texas, I actually went to a black church. Predominantly. Don't mess with faith. Don't do it. And then you want to take it a step further. Don was already on the bad side of the community because he's a homosexual. Already on the bad side of the community because he's a homosexual. And instead of a white woman, he would go after, he went after a white man while claiming white supremacy and all sorts of other crap. This dude has lost his mind to think that he could go and disrupt a church service and that it would turn out good for him. He's lost his dang mind. When I say the entire community, I have yet to see, other than the delusional people that were there with him, I have yet to see people within his community, which I don't even, y'all that follow the channel know, I don't even agree with sitting there being like, yo, skin color at all. But I mean, the entire community is against this garbage. Mahoney75 says, Don, like a lot of so-called journalists, don't report the news. They report their opinions. I thought that was reserved for page 4 of the newspaper. No, it's reserved for tabloids. The news is turned into tabloids, which is why 2,200 of you plus are tuned in with me over on YouTube and probably solid 1,500 or something over on X right now. Because the news has turned into a freaking joke. And they'll sit there like that CNN panel and they'll try to go, look, here's equal representation of what's happening. There's actually people that agree with this. No, the vast majority of the American population does not agree with what took place on Sunday. It doesn't matter if they're Muslim. It doesn't matter if they're Christian. It doesn't matter if they're Jewish. Not a single member of any religious community wants that happening at their house of worship. Not one. Not one. And for the dishonest media to sit there and try to claim that there is some sort of support for that, they've lost their dang minds. They've lost it. And you guys come over here because you want to hear honest things like, hey, Donald Trump, you're stupid for putting a radical Islamist in charge of Syria. But you also want me to sit here and tell you when crap like this happens, you also want me to tell you that Jake Lang is a racist because people are tired of the BS that goes in the media. I saw people describe in the media, mainstream media, describe Jake Lang as a journalist. Journalist. The man had a freaking baseball bat, a gas mask, and a riot shield on January 6th and was charging federal officers. I remember I sat here after January 6th because there was a ton of you guys that were like, dude, it was peaceful. It wasn't a riot. And I was like, hold up. I dug deep into this. And I sat there with you guys and I went over for like probably 2 hours. It felt like footage after footage. And yeah, there was peaceful footage of people walking around the Capitol. There was peaceful footage of people doing peaceful things. But there was also guys like Jake Lang with baseball bats and riot shields charging at frickin' police. And people chucking hard objects and striking them. Jake shouldn't have been pardoned. But he also shouldn't have had his civil rights violated by sitting in jail for so long without a trial, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They should have done that correct. We shouldn't have had January 6ers in solitary confinement for 36 hours straight for absolutely no reason. But let's not pretend like he's a good dude. Let's not pretend like he's not a racist. And let's not sit here and act like Don Lemon has a huge support base when y'all know he absolutely does not.
All right. You want to help me? Go home. Wherever that home is, go. All right. Ain't no white supremacy, American supremacy. American supremacy. And if you don't know what an American is, now I don't know what to tell you. All right.
Yeah, and who's she shouting at? Who's she yelling at? You think she's yelling at a member of the black community? You think she's yelling at a member of any other community? No, it's some woke white chick. Same type of woke white that you have over on CNN. Same type of woke white that you got like just standing around and causing freaking havoc. And then they grab Don Lemon because he's gay and he's outcasted by his own community because they think that'll work. And then you take BLM, who's accused of, I don't know, frauding the American people out of a buttload of money, activists, and throw them at the front of it. And then Don claims that you got to have white people on your side when you're doing something like this. It's such a joke. Hammer says, when is it too much? If we have real terrorists in the U.S. streaming their actions in states are protecting them, jailing journalists, what's next? They're not journalists. A lot of these people aren't journalists. Some people go out there for journalism. Some people go out there for content creation. Very few go out there to document everything across the board. And I love Cam, man. Cam has like a good heart. I love Nick Shirley. I think Nick Shirley has a great heart. There's a lot of things that could have been taken a lot further in a lot of different scenarios, man. But at the end of the day, jailing a journalist such as Don Lemon isn't just the right thing to do, it is the only thing to do. Because if you don't jail Don and you don't jail all of the other people that are associated there, what's going to happen next? Idiots like Lang are going to be raiding mosques because they set the legal precedent that what they did was okay. That's what's going to happen. And you want to see a civil war in this country spark? Because most of the American population has been gaslit into thinking that he is a quote unquote patriot. You want to see a civil war in this country start? And by the way, the reason I talk about that is because the last thing I want is for the left to think that conservatives really back a freaking white supremacist. You want to see hell? Have that white supremacist go into a mosque and watch people get outraged over it. And watch what happens after that. You are going to see bloodshed on a freaking scale that you wouldn't believe. Like, you think Charlie Kirk being streamed in 4K was bad? No, there will be war over that, ladies and gentlemen. You do not mess with someone's religion to that extent. You don't do it. I can sit here and I can speak out against radical Islamists, and I can say that Muhammad's a pedophile because that is something I truly believe in my soul, and it's also factually based on the English language. And I understand the argument on the other side, which is it's a different time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I also think he's a false prophet. I can state those things. But going in and dropping a pig's head on a mosque is something completely and totally different. Jake is the meme guy putting a stick in his own bike spokes. That's exactly what he is. That is exactly what he is. Incog Faraday says Lemon is looking for his 2 minutes of fame. He's terrified of being inconsequential. Well, he just rendered himself extremely inconsequential, and the only people that are going to be on side is the left. I had no idea who this guy was, so I went over and I looked it up. Former capo regime of the New York Colombo crime family. I don't even know what the hell that means. Sounds like mob boss to me. You know you screwed up when a freaking mob boss hates you.
Hey everyone, a lot of you have been asking me what my opinion is of what Don Lemon did yesterday, going into the church, following the protesters in Minneapolis. Well, you know, he claims he was a journalist and he was following the protesters into the church service. It was a service going on at the time. He claimed he had a First Amendment privilege to do that, disregarding the First Amendment privilege of those people in the church that were worshiping. Very disrespectful to them and to God. He could have went in there afterwards. The protesters could have went in there afterwards and spoke to the pastor who they claimed had ties to ICE, whatever. They could have done it later on. But he's got no respect for God. He's just full of it, trying so hard to be relevant, you know, because he isn't relevant anymore. And then he had the nerve to say that these people...
Holy crap. The comment. Mike Ranger. He's my uncle and he wasn't a boss. His father was Sonny. Okay, got it. Situation corrected. Got it. Either way, man. Either way. You done screwed up, Don. You screwed up. You're going to jail. You're going to get indicted. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get slapped with a hate crime on top of it for pointing the people out in the church and those religious organizations as white supremacists. See, a lot of people know who that guy is, just throwing out and pouring out love for him. I mean, he goes off. He goes absolutely off. Now, I told you guys that charges are likely going to be inbound for him, right? I told you guys that. Charges are likely going to be inbound for him. It's not just my thought on it either. We also have the thoughts of several other people. I talked about this guy before, Mike Davis, over there. Oh, wow. Mike Davis follows me. Wild. Talked about this before. Mike Davis, big time attorney, MRD Law, Article 3 project, huge, knows a lot of stuff. Former chief counsel for nominations, Senate Judiciary Committee, law clerk, justice. Let's give a listen to what Mike Davis has to say about
Minnesota.
This.
And a bunch of people stormed in the front door, screaming and terrorizing all the assembled. You know where my mind would go? It would go back to August 27th of last year when a shooter showed up at the Catholic Church in Minneapolis and killed 2 kids, 30 people injured, 26 kids among them. A 10-year-old and an 8-year-old died in this. That's where my mind would be. Because in Minneapolis, we just had somebody shoot up a church. Then you have all these people storming into a church. That's the first thing I would think of, Mike. I mean, people in Minneapolis have a right to be on edge about this stuff.
Yeah, what Don Lemon and these other criminals have done here is absolutely despicable. And I think this is going to backfire spectacularly on them. You do not go into a church and disrupt the services of a church because you have a political disagreement. That is crossing the brightest red line imaginable by doing that. And not only that, is it just politically disgusting. It's a very serious federal crime under the Federal Faith Act, which outlaws physical obstruction of both abortion clinics and churches, synagogues, mosques. You could not go in to a place of worship and disrupt their service. That is a federal felony, and I strongly suspect.
I don't think I need to prove it anymore. I don't think I need to play the entire clip. I don't think you guys need to hear all of that for how wrong he is. But again, you guys want to hear truth, and so I'm here to give you truth. I talked to you guys about Jake Lang and how he is a massive pile of garbage, and I'm very happy. I told you guys I was in love with Officer Tatum today. Like, he crushed it. And guess what? He found the same clip.
Everybody was like, Brandon, the Guardian Fund should go and help Jake Lang. Pull him up. I said, who? You talking about, pull him up. You talking about this guy who I saw this clip not too long ago. I saw him getting his butt whooped at the protest, and I said, wait a minute, who is that? That's this guy. Roll the clip.
Go back, AIPAC, go back. That's the AIPAC building right there. White Christian men are not going to sit around while you turn our children into a bunch of lovers.
We're going the wrong way. Where are we going?
Simple. I was just showing them the AIPAC building on my stream.
Guys, we'll see you in Minnesota January 17th. Be there. If you guys are watching this and
go back.
Inspired.
And I'm going to pause it here. I think that might be Jake's boyfriend, because I've always seen like those two together, by the way.
Do y'all think that's AI? I don't think that's AI. Now, what the makes somebody say something this stupid? Is that really what you, like, is that a word to come out of a conservative person's mouth? Nope. You're supposed to be a conservative. You out here burning Qurans. You got a tack vest on. And this is what you feel. This is why I don't support him. This guy talking all that big game, and then let's go look at what happened to him when they're out in the street. Is this another one he talking crazy on? Look, he let the man get in between his legs.
He's a piece of crap, guys. I can't stress it enough. Tom Bone says, yeah, he's a mob boss, and Don Lemon best never set foot in New York City because he will be sleeping at the bottom of the Hudson River with concrete shoes. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man, like, you know, there's honor amongst thieves is a very, very, very old saying, you know, and I think he's taken it to like this new extreme that people need to kind of to figure out that it's not okay. Like what Don did was not okay. I didn't have time to go over Jersey this morning. I got an email as I was sitting here. I actually have a doctor's appointment in about 8 minutes so I got to go. Luckily it's virtual, but otherwise I would dive into this. This flag's being flown over at the Jersey City Council. Not okay. Not okay. Ended up looking into what that flag means and what it's all about. Excuse me, not City Council, City Hall. City Hall. I did a pretty dang deep dive into what that flag means. If you guys want to know about it, if you guys want to read up on it before tonight's show, before I go off on this, you're more than welcome to. And for some reason, it's being censored over on X. So I'm going to drop you guys a link here for you guys to take, go, share, do whatever you want with it. That's the link to this flag, what it means, and the people that are behind it. And it's bad. It's not okay to have this being flown at a city hall. Not even close. Not even close. No, sir. We're going to go over that. Viper says, my fear, Jake Lang will try to capitalize off this and justify what he does next based off if these charges don't drop fast. That's Viper. You and me are speaking the same language here, bud. You and me agree. That's exactly what he's going to do. That's exactly what everybody else is going to do. No, not students of the Quran. No. It's not students of the Quran at all. That's not it. No. This is the organization to which the Nation of Islam was born out of. This is an organization that thinks they have Moorish Americans that are in here, i.e. people that belonged in America, that were here in America before everything, before Columbus and all of that. That's what these types of people think. We're going to go over it. I'm going to show you the ideology and what it is that they actually believe. But either way, it's a religious organization, and it should not be being flown here in the United States of America, certainly over anything to do with the government, state, local, or federal. It's appalling. It's up there, and I'm going to raise a stink about it, and it needs to get ripped down immediately. Clear violation of church and state. Abby Asman says, just posted a glorious rant video on Discord in the Help Us with Info section. Enjoy. Well, thank you, Abby. Swamp Cleaner says, the only people happy right now are Dawn's future cellmates. I'm sure there are plenty of guys who would love to bunk with them. I don't think there is, man. Like, I joked last night and I said soap on a rope sales over inside, the DOC has been skyrocketing because of this. And part of me says it's a joke, but I got a feeling it's going to happen, man. I got a feeling soap on a rope is going to go through the roof over this guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all for joining me for another episode. Don't give in to these freaking nut jobs. Speak out. Speak your mind. Your voice matters. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Your voice matters. Use your mouth. Voices raise nations. Voices tear down nations. Absolutely. Use your mouth. Peace, love, happiness. God bless. I'm out.
Hi. You have any questions?
I asked if y'all got a warrant and if I could see it. He said no.
So because you're not related to this person, we don't have to
Okay, well, I'm here to just observe. I have within my right to do
cool.
so.
But all that noise, all that stuff like that, you're impeding our investigation.
I don't know what you just said. I don't speak Spanish.
I'm not speaking Spanish.
I just heard your Spanish accent. I don't know what you said. You're speaking entirely too fast. I don't really want to engage with you, honestly.
Just leave.
I'm just letting you know I'm here.
It's for you. This is for you to understand. Whistling, making all this noise, impeding our investigation.
How is blowing a whistle impeding?
Listen.
I'm done talking to you.
Listen.
You can get out of my face.
If you continue that, we're going to arrest you. All right? So this is your first and last warning. Don't do it again. Don't impede. I will arrest you.